Solana at this point is the fastest. Now, listen, there's a big debate. You can say, okay, Ethereum's got level 2s on top of it. And listen, this will be debated, right? There's never a declared winner before the race finishes. We think Solana is in the lead in terms of speed and processing and has a great shot at being a winner.
How do you guys think about, I think Solana's market cap is like 2 times higher than it was last cycle, but the coin itself is about all-time highs.
You got a stake.
Yeah, like how do you...
your coins.
Yeah, so explain this a little bit, like what's happening there. What's going on, guys? Today we got a great episode for you. We've got Mike Novogratz, the founder and CEO of Galaxy, and then we also have Kyle Samani. He's the chairman of Ford Industries, and he's the founder and managing partner at Multicoin. In this conversation, we talk about a $1.65 billion fundraise that they recently did for Ford Industries. What's going on with these treasury companies? What is their plan with the Solana-focused treasury company? How's it going to work? What the risks are? And how are they actually going to generate shareholder returns? That and much more. Here's my latest conversation with Mike and Kyle. All right, Kyle and Mike, this is a big day for you guys. You guys have made a bunch of announcements. Kyle, you guys raised $1.6 billion to create the largest Solana treasury company in public markets. Why Solana and why'd you raise so much money?
It was 1.65 billion, Pomp. Thanks for having me here.
Off to a fast start.
All right, let's hit it. Yeah, look, we got to meet Mike and the Novo team and Galaxy team, excuse me, and the Jump guys, and we all kind of looked at each other as just a few months ago. And we were like, there's an opportunity here to knock this out of the park. So made a deal happen between the three of us. The reason we're doing this on Solana is because we all believe Solana is going to be the world's most performant blockchain. That's clearly true today. You can look at all the usage metrics, performance, trading volumes, all that stuff. It's all there. Ultimately, we believe that we're going to settle not only securities markets globally on Solana, but commodities, FX, derivatives, you name it. We think there's an opportunity to truly move off of TradFi rails and off of NASDAQ and NYSE and on to internet capital markets.
You just want to completely take everything off of the traditional rails, and you think you can put it on Solana?
Yeah, I mean, look, like we had newspapers, we had paper, and today newspapers are what 1% of news being read and 99% is on the internet. It took 25 years, but same thing's going to happen.
You think it's possible?
Well, what's interesting, the head of the SEC, right?
Paul Atkins
came out and said, I want markets to move on chain. I was like, did he actually say that? Rewind, do it again. Like Paul Atkins said he wants markets to move on chain. That's a radical departure from where we were with Gary Gensler. And so if markets are moving on chain, and I think this is not going to move on chain overnight, it's going to take a while. We tokenized Galaxy stock. We're tokenizing Ford. We announced it today. Volumes start slow until they get into the DeFi channels, and then they'll go faster. There's going to be a big fight on what exchanges security tokens can trade on. Once that all gets worked out, they're going to trade over blockchains. What was unique about bringing Jump Capital into this? Like there are 3 or 4 guys in the world that are A++ at infrastructure, right? Jump, Citadel, Jane Street, Tower. Jump's one of them. And when it comes to infrastructure in crypto, Jump's a 101. And so understanding what is necessary for high frequency trading, for transacting thousands, millions of transactions a second. And let's get real clear. When AI starts transacting, and it will, when we have agentic, both traders and agentic shoppers and agentic everything, setting stable coins, they're going to happen over blockchains. And so partnering up with Jump in this thing and saying, hey, Solana at this point is the fastest. Now, listen, there's a big debate. You can say, okay, Ethereum's got level 2s on top of it. And listen, this will be debated, right? There's never a declared winner before the race finishes. We think Solana is in the lead in terms of speed and processing and has a great shot at being a winner.
How do you guys think about, I think Solana's market cap is like 2 times higher than it was last cycle, but the coin itself is about all-time highs.
You got a stake.
Yeah. Like how do you...
your coins.
Yeah. So explain this a little bit, like what's happening there.
Yeah, look, so all of these networks have permissionless global consensus. In Bitcoin, you have the miners, obviously very famously. A lot of them are publicly traded. And proof of stake networks like Ethereum and Solana, you don't have to have all this heavy mining infrastructure. The simple of it is you can take your coins, let's say you have 100 coins, and you can click a couple buttons on the screen and stake your coins. And once you do that, you'll earn the kind of headline rate of inflation, which today on Solana is, headline rate of yield, which is roughly 7.5% to 8%.
And so 7.5% in 8 years basically doubles you almost.
You can almost consider that the risk-free rate of Solana. That's not a perfect comp to U.S. Treasuries, but pretty close for understanding.
All right, so you became the chairman of this company, Forward Industries. How do you guys determine just whoever had more hair, or what?
I'm already the CEO of Galaxy, and out there, it takes a lot of energy to try to keep the. Listen, the key in being a public equity, and I've learned this both the hard way and I'm starting to learn it the easier way. And the key to being a successful DAT is to get volume in your stock. Mm-hmm. And there's a magic formula that no one tells you and you still don't know. Some stocks get it overnight. And you're like, how did they get so much volume? Why volume? Because volume is energy. Volume is people caring about your story, right? Think about the biggest stories in the world. Apple. Everyone cares about Apple. They launched a new phone. You've got an opinion. Every guy in the street's got an opinion. That's why it's got volume. And with volume often comes price. Volume comes volatility, and that creates energy. And so why Kyle is because he loves fucking Solana. And we thought he'd do a good job.
He does love Solana.
We thought he would do a great job of bringing energy to our stock. But listen, this is the challenge for all treasury companies and for all public companies. And I look at Circle, overnight, because they launched at a perfect time. They gave a lot to retail. They've got a really simple story. Right? We're a stablecoin company in a world where stablecoins, right? We just had the Genius Act passed. And overnight, they're one of the highest volume stocks in the whole crypto space, if not the highest volume. Like, I'm jealous. My job as CEO of Galaxy is to bring people's energy to Galaxy, and the same thing with Forward. We need to bring, because if not, listen, we have a bunch of assets. We think we've got the smartest team around on how to stake them, on how to create DeFi yield, and how to do other smart things. But what we really need is volume, because with volume comes more selling and then more assets coming into the system. And listen, Tom Lee's done it in BNMR brilliantly. Sometimes it's lightning in a bottle. Sometimes it's a strategy. But the only thing I think we can add is energy. Energy telling the story, energy bringing people into the tent, energy for awareness of why we think this is an interesting place to put your money.
All right. So you guys are going to hold, let's say, billions of dollars of Solana. You're going to stake it, I'm assuming. That means you're going to get 7-8% off of that. That's free cash flow. What else are you going to do?
Yeah. So this morning, actually, we announced some news. We announced that we're tokenizing our stock using our partner Superstate natively on the Solana blockchain. And as part of that, we actually negotiated an ability to get equity in Superstate for basically being their flagship customer. Forward Industries is not laying out any cash for this equity. We have said to our investors publicly, and I've talked about this on Twitter and other podcasts, that we're going to use our reputation, our scale, and our willingness to do interesting things to negotiate creative economics for our shareholders. We've been live for 2 weeks. And today we announced our first deal to that effect. We've got a whole bunch more in the pipeline, but being able to use our scale to actually get better economics, we think is a phenomenal way to deliver shareholder value.
And how big can these things get, right? Like, we obviously seen Strategy, we see Metaplanet, we see some of these, really large companies, but how big do you think that the altcoin treasury companies can actually get?
Listen, I think they can get a lot bigger than they are now. I was skeptical, to be fair, when Michael Saylor started it. MicroStrategy, I was like, okay, I got it. It's bringing people that couldn't get into the space. But when the ETF came out, I was like, well, why? And Michael did an amazing job of creating energy around MicroStrategy, created all kinds of different avenues to open the aperture of people that would look at his stock, from the converts first to the preferreds. And when you think about why treasury companies have worked better than a skeptic would have thought they would, because there's a ton of skeptics around treasury companies, and I was one. The amount of people that have access to fixed income and equity accounts is so much greater than people that have already set up crypto wallets. And for this moment in time right now, with the Fed cutting rates, with a government that can't seem to stop spending money, a perfect narrative for crypto, with equities at an all-time high, gold at an all-time high, crypto at an all-time high, opening up the aperture, bringing money into the space. It's happening through these treasury companies. And so when they trade poorly and they start trading to discounts or flat, it's bad for the overall crypto market because that's where the buyers have come from. And so we watch that carefully. But that was part of it. And so again, this DAT can be a whole lot bigger than it is today, but predicated on that is us doing a great job of convincing people there's value added with this team and a bull market. It's hard to make them much bigger in a really bad market.
Today's episode is brought to you by Simple Mining. Have you ever been interested in mining Bitcoin? As a miner myself, I've been using Simple Mining for the past few months, and the experience has been nothing short of seamless. I mine with the pool of my choice, and the Bitcoin is sent directly to my wallet. Simple Mining, which is based in Cedar Falls, Iowa, offers a premium white glove service designed for everyone, from individual enthusiasts to large-scale miners. They've been in business for 4 years and currently operate more than 20,000 Bitcoin miners, including mine. Their electricity is over 65% renewable thanks to the abundance of wind energy. Not only do they simplify mining with their top-notch hosting and on-site repair services, but they also help you benefit financially by running your operations as a business. This approach offers 100% bonus depreciation to optimize the profitability of your investment. Do you ever worry about the completion of maintaining your mining equipment? They've got you covered there too. For the first 12 months, all repairs are included at no extra cost. If you experience any downtime, they'll credit you for it as well. And if your miners aren't profitable at the amount, simply pause them with no penalties. When you're ready to upgrade or adjust your setup, their exclusive marketplace provides a seamless way to resell your equipment. Join me and many satisfied miners who have simplified their Bitcoin mining journey. You can even get started today with the 7-day miner trial. Visit simplemining.io/pomp to get started today. That's simplemining.io/pomp to get started today. With Simple Mining, they make it simple. Do you guys think that you'll go and you'll buy other Solana-based treasuries? Like we just saw recently Strive announced that they're buying similar. I know there's other Solana ones out there. Would you buy other ones?
If they're trading at a big enough discount, of course you would.
Yes. And not only Solana ones, but any asset, it doesn't matter. If our stock is trading at 1.5, someone's trading at 0.7, it's a creative transaction for both parties.
And let's say in that scenario, let's just say it's another altcoin treasury that's doing that. Would you go and try to buy it and then sell their coins to buy more Solana, or would you hold on to their coins? Or like, how do you think through some of the nuances there?
Forward Industries is a Solana DAT.
Okay. So you would like go raid other altcoins. Should they fear Kyle Samani?
I would call it's an accretive transaction for both shareholders.
You sound like a public company CEO already. All right, perfect. When you think about Solana in the public market, there is that yield. You guys have done a pretty good job in capital markets at Galaxy. Do you see an opportunity to start with bonds and things where you can actually pay and have that liability because you're able to drive the actual yield?
Yeah, I think, listen, and hats off to Michael Saylor because he gave a pretty good roadmap. First, you got to establish yourself as the dominant player. So that's role one for us. Be the dominant player, be the apex predator in Solana DATs. Be able to raise capital just through equity.
I'm laughing because we've all known each other for a long time now. The fact that we're now talking about like the crypto industry assaulting public markets and being the apex predator in the verticals, I know there's Wall Street guys like these fucking guys, right? Like they've got to be like they're.
I spent my life as a wrestler, so that you just think that way. It's a physical sport.
But I do think that, the essence of this point is that you guys are essentially using what is something that's native to this new digital world, and you're essentially arbing the fact that Wall Street will give you a bunch of money if you can then turn around and pay them yield back that you're able to generate in the digital world. Like there is this very interesting symbiotic relationship.
But you want to establish that you can raise capital and lots of it. And then you take the next step. You say, okay, well, now let's put some data. You don't want to put that much leverage on the thing, but there's plenty of leverage you can put on. Just you could put 7% leverage on with knowing you're going to get that 7% back just in yield, right? And so there's a level of leverage you'll take. And, if you build a good enough story, then you can maybe do what Michael does and raise preferred. Like that's a genius move. It took Michael 4 years, maybe 4 years. And what was interesting about MicroStrategy, it became its own community. Like these work if they become communities. You think about what the core value prop in crypto so far has not been utility. It's been community, right? You're part of the XRP army. A lot of people don't use the XRP blockchain, but they really like the coin, right? What does it mean like the coin mean? They like They trust the community to hold their value.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And Michael Saylor created community around MicroStrategy, which was different than Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
People are MicroStrategy guys. They like it. It outperformed. And so the job is community.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what creates the value.
Is there a world where you guys are so successful in the public markets that it actually takes away capital flows from Solana? Like could it become this like fragmented capital flow?
No, but if you think about it, the thing of like, was MicroStrategy good for Bitcoin or bad? Categorically good.
Oh, of course.
Michael Saylor deserves 2 kisses and a hug. He might not take that well. Why? Because he brought people into the Bitcoin ecosystem. He bought more Bitcoin than anyone else. That's energy into the ecosystem, right? I mean, in lots of ways, this whole crypto thing is about who can bring energy into those ecosystems, right? It has been a narrative business until recently. It still is a narrative business. It will change in the next 5 years to a performative business, right? To utility, right? We're starting to see it already in some ecosystems, but we're really early. Right. I talk about agentic AI using stablecoins. It ain't happening yet. It's going to. It's not happening yet. We're not buying our US Open tickets on a decentralized ticketing space. We're buying them through Ticketmaster still. And so as we have this revolution go from narrative to utility, right? What does that mean? Well, when we have more and more stablecoins operating on blockchains, that's going to take money from bank deposits by definition. Even though they're not allowed to pay interest, they're going to pay interest. They're going to have money market funds here and stable coins here, and they're going to instantly transact. And so you're going to be able to have in your wallet your cash or your what you normally put in checking and savings, earning 0 at JP Morgan, earning 4.5% or whatever the Fed funds rate is, and use it to buy stuff. Well, so as bank deposits go down, what goes up? Where does credit creation come from? You're going to see private credit tokenized. That'll be one of the first big uses of real world assets. And banks are going to be replaced by stable coins and private credit. And you're going to buy private credit in tokenized form. That's going to happen. Is it going to happen next year? No, it's going to start happening next year, right? You saw Figure went public with a big freaking nice multiple. Congrats, Mike Cagney, right? He's tokenizing private credit. Galaxy is going to get into tokenizing private credit. We've done some small examples of it already. But as those things happen, they're going to happen over blockchains. And we think Solana is going to be one of the blockchains that gets the lion's share of the financial market stuff because it's kind of tailor built for financial markets.
What do you think?
Yeah, your original question was how do we interplay with Solana itself? And I think to Mike's credit, this is extremely positive sum. I think the other thing that's hard for people to appreciate is, if you look at Bitcoin, there is no Bitcoin Foundation, just random miners and whatever around the world. If you look at Ethereum and Solana, they both are stewarded by these Swiss-based nonprofits, and they act as Swiss nonprofits. We actually live in a very symbiotic relationship with the Solana Foundation now. We are the largest Solana DAT in the world, but also the largest one in the United States. And so we are now in a position to basically engage and work with U.S. capital markets, U.S. regulators, to further advance the interests of Solana in the United States. We see other DATs too in other regions. There's ones in Asia and the UAE and other places. And yes, they are our competitors, but they are also accretive for Solana. Forward Industries is never going to be the leading DAT engaging with UAE or Middle East regulators. We're not going to be that in Asia either. We're going to be that in the United States. That's where our bread and butter is. And so there's this very healthy dynamic where we have this Swiss nonprofit that stewards this incredibly neutral, permissionless, open global system. And then you have these capitalist enterprises on top who are out to advance the interests of Solana, but also through the context of driving value for shareholders.
How do you guys mess this up, right? Like you raise a ton of money, you're buying an asset, you're driving the yield, like all that makes sense. Obviously, if the price goes down a lot, that wouldn't be fun, but still you would hold the assets, it would still yield, whatever. Like how does this blow up? It
doesn't blow up. Like the downside scenario for our DAT and for all DATs is that at one point, this beautiful, lovable, likable crypto bull market comes to an end. And we're like,
you love this one? This one is not really kicking off yet.
No, but well, listen, we're all a lot richer than we were a year ago. Anyone in this space, if you're not, you should just quit the space and actually become like a sower or something. I don't know. Like if you have not made money in the last 12 months, you don't deserve to be in the crypto business. But at one point, bull markets end. Who knows why? They run out of steam. The Fed pivots and says, oh, like we can't cut rates anymore. Like this was crazy. We shouldn't have been cutting in the first place. Like there's all kinds of scenarios where the bull market ends. And in a bear market, these things trade back to parity or even to discount to book. And
you just write it out.
Yeah, there's opportunities to do there. Like we're an asset manager, right? Kyle is the chairman of a company with $1.7 billion of assets. That's a lot of assets. Galaxy's managing those assets right now. There's a board that thinks of strategic things to do. There's ability to raise capital privately. There's ability to raise capital through ATM in the public markets. And so you do well like any other company would do. It might be boring for 6 months or a year because you're, less ability to bring in new capital. But it's still a substantial company. One of the reasons, and we debated, we wanted to start bigger is because we wanted to be substantial. Like a $1.7 billion asset manager is a big enough company as is. Mm-hmm. We expect this to become a $10 billion asset manager. Mm-hmm. That's the goal or higher. But if we got the timing perfectly wrong and we were stuck here for 18 months through a cycle, it's not the end of the world. There's not a disaster scenario for this.
Yeah. The other thing I want to flag, Pomp, is, like this is a publicly traded permanent capital vehicle. And ultimately, it's going to be up to the management team and the board to make capital allocation decisions to drive long-term value for shareholders. We're really fortunate between Multicoin, Jump, and Galaxy to have probably the three groups that are the most long-term oriented around thinking about Solana. I was very fortunate to meet Anatoly and Raj, and I led the Solana seed round back in early 2018. We have bridged the Solana team when they were running out of money way back in the day. We are one of the most active investors across the Solana ecosystem today. I think we've invested in 25 or 30 different Solana-based teams. And we have a very long-term view on how this stuff's going to play out, how value is going to accrue, how market structure is going to change. We're placing all these bets, have been through Multicoin and now as well through Forward Industries and guiding that. And at the end of the day, when you judge us in 5 years, the primary thing you should be judging us by is, did we make good capital allocation decisions? Given the knowledge base of the core teams here between Multicoin, Jump, and Galaxy, I feel pretty good that we're going to be able to navigate this well and knock it out of the park.
Do you have to outperform Solana for it to be a win? Right? Like I think that
we think about this
strategy didn't outperform Bitcoin, people would be like, I should have just bought Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like they outperformed, I think, is like a big driver.
The North Star for Forward Industries is SOL per share. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we think about SOL as the denominator.
And we should be able to just by the staking alone. Mm-hmm. But listen, there's lots.
If Galaxy does a good job.
Yeah, we will. Listen, there's lots that goes into this. If the SOL price itself doesn't go up, it's not as fun. Yeah. Like just being, does it mean it's a terrible business? No, it's not a terrible business at all. And if you didn't believe that in 5 years, the SOL price would be substantially higher, you shouldn't be participating in the SOL ecosystem, or in 3 years, right? I mean, listen, there's plenty of trading opportunities, but like we are long-term bullish this space. Mm-hmm. I would not have taken Galaxy public if I didn't think crypto would be more relevant in the world in 5 years' time than it is today.
Mm-hmm. Will you sell Solana if, let's say, you think that the market's going to go down, or you see some other reason? Or is this something where you're like, we'll never sell once we buy it, and then there's other opportunities we have?
Yeah, we're not here to play hedge fund trading SOL USD. We think about driving value to shareholders in SOL per share terms.
Yeah.
All right. Today's episode is brought to you by Zappo Bank, where eligible members can unlock the power of Bitcoin without selling it. Need cash fast? With Zappo Bank's Bitcoin-backed loans, you can access 40% of your Bitcoin's value, borrowing as much as $1 million for a full year with low interest rates, zero fees, and no early repayment fees either. Now, here's the best part. You keep your Bitcoin, meaning you get to watch your holdings grow as the price of Bitcoin increases. Whether you're looking to buy a house, fund your child's education, or seize an exciting investment opportunity, these loans give you the flexibility to access cash without selling your Bitcoin. Unlike traditional loans, Xapo Bank's Bitcoin-backed loans have no minimum repayments, no early repayment penalties, and the flexibility to settle your loan in USD or Bitcoin whenever it suits you. It's liquidity entirely on your terms. Xapo understands the unique needs of Bitcoin holders. That's why they have developed a product designed specifically for you. With over a decade of experience in the Bitcoin space, Xapo Bank has been a trusted partner for those looking to make the most of their Bitcoin while keeping it safe. Your Bitcoin stays safe in your vault, untouched, never lent out, and secured in a global network of military-grade bunkers with cutting-edge security technology. Head to zapobank.com/pomp to learn more. That's XAPOBANK.com/pomp. Go check them out at zapobank.com/pomp today. Do you guys think the 4-year cycle's over for crypto in general? Or do you think that like end of this year, there's some sort of top and next year is back into a bear market?
It's a great question. I spent all night thinking about it.
Don't worry, so do I.
And of course, the market got the living shit kicked out of it today, right? So I guess we should have sold it. Listen, these are very hard calls. We are moving into a world where we've got central banking independence really a question. We've never had that in my 40-year career in Wall Street. And so depending on who Trump picks as the next Fed governor, it could kick off a whole freaking mega cycle, right? We throw some independence into the toilet and crypto's going a lot higher, right? And so the political situation makes that prediction harder.
Mm-hmm.
The Fed just cut rates. They're going to cut at least one more time, probably 2 more times. Is it strange they cut rates when the stock market's on an all-time high, gold is on an all-time high, crypto's on? Yeah, it is. There was political pressure, some. But they are also wrestling with this thing we never had to think about before, which was AI, the great job destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to destroy jobs. You can see it already, especially young people's jobs, high-paying ones. And so what AI does to this world, if anyone thinks they really know, they're out of their minds. It's so complicated. And so there's a lot more uncertainty in macro than I've ever seen, which makes calling the top of the cycle much more difficult.
The other thing I would add is, Mike just touched on executive branch, Fed independence. But, I honestly think what might end up being the biggest thing when we look back in 20 years is Congress. And we just passed the Genius Act a couple months ago. Stable coins are now recognized by United States Congress. I think we're going to get the Clarity Act passed hopefully in the next couple months here. Fingers crossed. I was in DC last week talking with Senator Scott and a bunch of others on some of these issues. And then, of course, we have Chair Paul Atkins, who announced Project Crypto. And he said unequivocally, we're going to move U.S. securities markets on chain. It's with that backdrop, it's, I think probably the right historical comp to think about here is the Telecommunications Act of 1996. And when Congress passed that act and President Clinton signed it, that is really what laid the groundwork for the internet to grow. It gave companies the confidence to build fiber, for guys like Cisco to build all the routers and the infrastructure, for Intel to build all the chips and all the memory and all that stuff, for Microsoft and all the software makers, to make all the apps. And I think the Genius Act and now soon the Clarity Act, when we look back 20 years from now, it's going to be pretty obvious that was the watershed moment. And so, we just feel incredibly excited about this. I'd say the last thing I would say is, there's I think 6 billion people have a smartphone today in the world, something like that. There's 8 billion people on the planet. Obviously, that'll get to 8 billion here in the next few years. And Google and Apple were never going to add native support for stablecoins in iOS and Android until stablecoins were fully blessed federally to be legal. Mm-hmm. That's happened. I don't know when Apple and Google are going to enable stablecoins as a first-class citizen in iOS and Android, but at this point, you can kind of assume the probability that that's going to happen is 100%. Maybe it's in 26, maybe it's in 27, maybe it's in 28. I obviously don't know anything about their timing, but we've got David Sachs as crypto czar in the White House. Guarantee you, he's been calling the folks at Apple and Google and telling them, "Hey guys, this is a matter of U.S. interest to promote the growth of stablecoins around the world. Build this into iOS and Android as a first-class primitive."
Were you trading when the Telecommunications Act in 1996 happened?
I was a macro trader in Asia. Yeah.
Do you remember anything that's noteworthy?
I'll tell you a funny story. I was trading the Thai baht, Asian interest rates, S&P. So pretty much macro, focused on currencies and interest rates, derivatives. And my mother called me up in late 99. And I made partner at Goldman Sachs.
Congratulations.
I was feeling good. I was rich for the first time in my life. And I was feeling like a middle-class kid. My dad was in the Army. My mom's like, all my friends own Amazon, and you didn't tell me about Amazon, and everyone on the street's making money on Amazon, and I'm making nothing. And I'm thinking, on the street we lived on, the biggest Amazon position was probably $2,000. But I was like, geez, I did miss the entire internet. And so I decided I was not going to miss the Chinese internet. And I made a huge investment in a guy named Micah Truman. Dumb idea. Coke bottle glasses, white guy, spoke perfect Chinese. And he had all these email addresses, 20 million Chinese internet email addresses. There was only 30 million Chinese internet users at the time. And of course, that went to zero. And I thought to myself, later, I was at Goldman Sachs. In our office, one floor up, Alibaba was coming through, Tencent. All the great Chinese internet companies were getting started right about there. I could have put $100,000 in 6 of them instead of $600,000 in one, and probably thrown a dart at the dartboard. I think I hit the only zero. They all actually exploded up. And so I've always come to the conclusion early on in these moves, like when I started in crypto, I was in all kinds of ecosystems. I still think, don't be so arrogant that you're going to know exactly how it plays out. Mm-hmm. Spread your bets a little bit. This is going to be a while. I think Kyle's 100% right. This is going to be a watershed moment. And up until now, crypto's been a story. It's been more than a story in that Bitcoin is a store of values and stable coins overseas are a big deal. But broadly in the US, it's been a story. And we're going to go from story to rebuilding infrastructure. And that's going to happen in the next 2 to 10 years. And as that infrastructure, as things move on chain, things are going to change much faster. Think of a company like Pomp.fund, which runs on the Solana blockchain. That thing exploded. They've got a great token. I was talking to the founder at a party my son threw. The guy's 20, 21, good dude. And I'm like, you're the Pomp guy? And I was like, what's the next iteration? And if you think about what meme coins have done on the Solana blockchain is they gamified in lots of ways attention. Mm-hmm. Well, where do most kids spend all day? On TikTok, in Reels and Instagram. And you watch, you're going to gamify Reels, you're going to gamify TikTok, you're going to gamify all of it. You're going to have instant tokens on every freaking tweet you do. That stuff, millions and millions of transactions. I don't know if Pump's going to be the one who does it or someone else is. Again, Solana blockchain perfectly suited for those use cases. But as we move into a more digital world where everything is also gamified, because you're seeing that happen, like I just think the utility case for blockchains and then that case for bringing people into the community. So I build on this and that. So that's like utility plus narrative as opposed to just narrative. And that's going to be the big change.
I want to add something about live streaming. I think it's a super underappreciated element of these systems. So one of kind of the taglines of Solana is internet capital markets. We certainly believe that, folks at Galaxy and Jump do as well. And I think this kind of live streaming example that Mike was just talking about with Pomp kind of illustrates that. Most people look at, so with Pomp, anyone can go on there, do a live stream, create a token, engage with your fans and your followers. And it's a wild time. People have a ton of fun. And I think most people, probably people who are listening to the Pomp show, probably look at this and they're like, I have no idea what this is. I don't know how to make sense of this. And I think the way I'd help people try and understand what's happening is to think about entertainment finance. Entertainment finance 1.0 was Jim Cramer. Like, he was the first. And he figured out his formula. And look, you are now today your own version of that. Different kind of entertainment, right? Different style. You've got Roaring Kitty, you've got Dave Portnoy, you've got all these different flavors of it. And much in the same way that we went from with media, where there was just 5 TV channels, to now you've got social media where anyone can have a Twitter account or an Instagram account. The same is happening with these content creators and now asset issuers. And it is really the forefront of entertainment finance. And so when people look at this, I encourage you to try and really think about like, how is this evolving? And it's actually incredibly exciting to see what happens when you can unlock finance as a true first-class internet native primitive. And it's really all happening on Solana.
We could launch a meme coin for every Pomp episode.
No, we're not going to do that.
And we can. And then like, all right, were Kyle and Novogratz interesting or not? Or did this thing fucking tank? Or if people start, if the episode goes viral, the meme coin goes up. But then like the thing about meme coins is very few have long-term longevity, right? A few have, right? But there's a way that people get to gamble or speculate or gamify their concept of what's going to work. And that makes them feel good, right? And in a world where AI is going to replace a lot of other jobs, that consumption is valuable to people. Now, you could argue, is it great for society or not? I'm not making that argument. I'm arguing that it's happening. It's happening with sports betting. It's my son and his friends, who are all like 27-year-old knuckleheads, and they're the perfect age for this stuff. They don't watch a sporting event without like 19 bets on it. And that's become commonplace across America.
More fun that way.
Didn't exist when I was young.
Yeah.
We just rooted for our damn team. Now you're rooting for, each field goal and each touchdown and
the coin flip.
But yeah, the coin flip is a big deal, But we're moving to where we're gamifying lots of stuff. And so this ecosystem of crypto, and Solana literally tailor built for this, is, again, I think we should tokenize Pomp episodes.
Where can we send people to find more about Forward Industries?
So our Twitter handle, you should go there, FWDIND. You can also go to sol.forwardindustries.com. That's kind of our core website with all of our Solana stuff. And of course, follow Mike and I on Twitter. We're both very colorful characters there.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for doing this. We'll do it again in the future.
Pomp, thanks for having us.
Love you.